honest with our bike reviews. We're not paid by any manufacturer. To describe it when the suspension's not working properly is it feels like you have square wheels sometimes when you hit those square edges. Probably the most important thing that you can do for your motorcycle is protect it, especially when you're pretty harsh on the bike like I am. This tire is very aggressive. It's also a relatively soft compound, which we have the Yoshimura slip-on exhaust pipe. The stock OEM bar riser for my style of riding, being quite aggressive, is a little bit too tall, so it's not allowing me to move my body weight around. It does feel like quite a capable bike straight out of the box. What's up, guys? It's Sam King here. We're back with you with Outback Motortek, and today we're doing a bike review / build project part 1. Okay, guys, I just want to let you know that this is a Sam King point of view look over on this bike. So it's not going to be totally applicable to your average Sunday battler, but I think taking what works for me and pushing the limits of the motorcycle is valuable knowledge for you guys. And if it's not, well, there's plenty of other videos you can go check out on YouTube. Some of you may remember that my first deal on an adventure bike was earlier this year, and it was with CF Moto. Now I ride exclusively for Outback Motortek, which allows us to be a little bit more honest with our bike reviews. We're not paid by any manufacturer. It also allows us to change the bike from stock and talk a little bit about how to make these awesome motorcycles perform even better. So to start off, talking a little bit about the experience on the original OEM setup, the CF Moto IBEX 450 or the MT 450 as it's commonly known around the rest of the world. I found it to be actually quite a capable motorcycle. It is still a big adventure bike, a little bit less power than maybe some of the other adventure bikes. It is only a 450, it is a twin, which does mean that it's still fairly heavy. It's still an adventure bike. When it was stock, I did notice a couple little things, mostly to do with power and suspension, which we have tackled some of those issues with this build, and it's made this bike handle a lot better. I'm having a lot more fun on the loose rocks. I'm able to keep traction and handle and steer exactly where I want to be. So that's a lot to do with suspension. We also have a lot of other parts, which we're going to start to name off now. So starting with the fork, we have EvoOregon's internal parts that were installed by Tractive, motorcycle mechanic, and again, it's just changed the overall feel of this bike. I have a lot more trust in the front end, especially when I'm hitting loose rocks. I don't feel that really abrupt, harsh feeling when it's blowing through the stroke like a lot of OEM stock suspension setups are. The best way to describe it when the suspension's not working properly is it feels like you have square wheels sometimes when you hit those square edges. It's like the bike almost wants to come to a complete stop. So this suspension upgrade in the fork has completely changed that. I'm very planted on the front end, and even hitting loose rocks, I found it was not deflecting the front of the bike, bouncing me around. It would still just track and handle exactly where I wanted it to be. So for the rear shock, we have the Tractive setup. It's really nice because you can adjust it by hand back here. For me, it again felt a lot more planted. I could hit loose rocks and abrupt, harsh terrain and not feel the bike really stop. It would track and it would continue to give me that good traction.
Oh yeah, it's fully adjustable. This will be preload. I think the compression and rebound is going to be on this side. Yeah, it's on this side, but it's just two knobs. It's very simple. It basically gives you the adjustability that you have on this bike. So I installed the Tractive shock for the Cove, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, whether it would be too stiff or too soft, but I was very pleasantly surprised. It was soft, it was compliant, it was plush, but it still held the bike up. And it didn't bottom. So that's ultimately, I mean, that's the best of, you get the best of both worlds as much as you can. You want a progressive curve, so you want it soft initially on small stuff, and then you want it stiffer on big stuff so that it doesn't bottom. And I think Tractive has come up with a very, very good happy medium. I'm curious what Sam thinks of this because, I mean, I know it's going to be way better than stock, and it's great that he rode it before we did the upgrades to give a back-to-back comparison. And we already know that Sam can be very honest. And Sam has the ability to push this bike to its limits. So he is going to push this bike way past its limits. So for somebody like Sam, he would want more. But there are not many people on the planet that ride the way that Sam does.
Next, probably the most important thing that you can do for your motorcycle is protect it, especially when you're pretty harsh on the bike like I am. We have this aluminum skid plate, which is totally frame mounted, so no damage can be done to your bike if you do drop it, which I constantly do. One thing I want to mention about this skid plate is not only is it protecting your exhaust, your sump, a lot of other important things, the water pump and the stator cover are fully protected. You can see we're missing a little bit of paint on that skid plate right there, which just goes to show that it is doing the job. We didn't break the water pump and we're still riding. Moving on to the crash bars, steel frame mounted crash bars, which as you can see today took a little bit of abuse, but the bike is still perfectly fine. So these steel crash bars are also drop tested and we have some pretty awesome video proof of that. So make sure that you head over to Outback Motortek's YouTube channel and watch some of the other videos. It's pretty entertaining. We have MotoZ Tractionator rails. This tire is very aggressive. It's also a relatively soft compound, which in the loose, muddy stuff, I found to be actually working pretty good in the front end. Did feel it slipping and sliding a little bit on that hard pack gravel road, but I think realistically, any tire you're gonna have strong points, weak points. This, I believe, is their second most aggressive street legal tire, so might need to get my hands on the most aggressive street legal tire and have something to compare it with. Next up, we have the Yoshimura slip-on exhaust pipe. This has definitely improved the badassness of this bike. It sounds much nicer. Saves a lot of weight and it's a lot more open. So hard to say exactly how much power you're going to get from just a slip-on, but definitely an upgrade in power from the OEM bike that's going to come with a bunch of baffles and stuff. That's definitely a nice touch. The Yoshimura tail tidy is also just makes the back end of this bike look a lot more sexy. Here you have probably the world's smallest indicating flasher lights here. They can't really get broken off because they're so small and they're super bright. Talking about our Barkbusters wraparound setup here, they did take a little bit of abuse today. As you may know, I am somebody that's cautious of wraparound handguards, but in this case, they did save the bike quite a few times. It helps take some of that impact when you do drop the bike, and it also saves your hands, so that was a nice touch. I should also note that these brackets here are aluminum, so they can help absorb some of the impact to save your handlebars. They're also mates because they're made in Australia. So here we have the DoubleTake mirrors straight out of USA, and one of my biggest pet peeves when I'm riding off-road is hitting your wrist or your arm on a mirror. Obviously very important for when you are on the road, and when you're kind of sick of having them there or you're riding off-road, easy as that. They fold up, it's out of the way. I rode all day, didn't even notice it was there. Dropped the bike plenty of times, didn't even scratch them. So good job, DoubleTake. Next, we're going to be talking about these super sexy add-on. These are from Ruby Moto. It's the R4 model. They're completely dimmable, so you can turn them way down if you're on the highway so you don't blind oncoming traffic, or you can crank them right up if you're cruising logging roads. I found these are not only helpful for people seeing you coming the other way, but if it's really dusty or foggy, this really helps pierce through that so you can see where you're going. Last but not least, we have the TMBR wrap here. It's super nice, thick vinyl that helps to really protect your bike. It also makes the bike look way better, I'm not gonna lie, from stock. This color scheme, I'm really digging it. So good job, TMBR. So just to let you guys know that this is phase number 1 for this build project. We're not quite finished yet. I'd say we're at about 3,500 US to potentially 4,000 US with the upgrades that we've done already. There's a couple other things that I would like to do just to get a little bit more power out of it. We're going to get an ECU update that's going to really help open it up a little bit. We're going to get some better foot pegs. You might see in some of the videos today going through some muddy sections where my feet were slipping off, so that's going to be a nice upgrade. So to match the ECU update, we're also going to add an air filter to allow more airflow and get as much power to this little beast that we can get. We're also going to put a different seat on this thing that's going to allow me to move around a lot better. Right now, feels like my knees, when I'm sitting in the crack of the seat there, it feels like my knees are higher than my waist, which is just not very good kinesiology for my body. So that's going to be a nice upgrade. It's also going to allow you to grip the bike a little bit better at times. We're also going to get a smaller bar riser. The stock OEM bar riser for my style of riding, being quite aggressive, is a little bit too tall. So it's not allowing me to move my body weight around and really weight that front end when I need to. We're going to talk a little bit about the actual characteristics of this bike compared to some of the others. It is a 450, so it's a little bit smaller than some of the other bikes. Still has relatively good overall power. I think some of the upgrades that you'll see in the next video are going to really help to get a little bit more bottom end out of the bike so that you're not having to rev it as hard to get it into a wheelie or pop over a log. It does feel like quite a capable bike straight out of the box, just because it's a little bit lighter than some of the other alternatives out there, especially some of the bigger adventure bikes. So overall, it's a very capable machine. It's a very good bang for your buck, especially with these upgrades. It's a very fun bike to ride. Well guys, that brings us to the end of this video, but stay tuned because I'm very excited to show you how this bike handles after phase number 2 of doing our build project. Also, if you are on the fence and you're not sure to grab the CF Moto 450 versus something like the KTM Adventure 390R, then stay tuned because we may just do a head-to-head video comparing the two bikes and putting them back to back to see which one is going to perform better. And they're not going to be stock. They're going to have a full build project done on each one of those bikes. So it's going to be fun. Looking forward to it, and we'll see you then.